into deep left field, into the corner, and just foul. Woo. Into right field and deep. Back goes Hunter. Aloha! What will the ninth inning look like today? We'll see. Royals baseball is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Kyle Davies has a history of beginning strong, and he'll make his season debut today at Kauffman Stadium in Game 3 between the Royals and the Los Angeles Angels. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. I'm Ryan Lefevre, and the Royals have had a very exciting beginning to the 2011 season, and just a few feet away from 2 walk-off wins.
Well, Ryan, there are ways to win a ball game, but there's nothing more beautiful than seeing a walk-off home run what we saw last night from Kahui. But to get 2 of those would have been just great. But taking that one last night brings the fans back and get everybody excited about the ball team.
One department the Royals really wanted to improve upon this year was defense. Now, on one hand, they've committed 5 errors in the first 2 games with the Angels. But on the other hand, Frank, when the defense has had to come up with a big play like last night, they've come through.
Well, a pitcher will always tell you, Ryan, that a double play is my best friend. And last night the Royals were able to turn 3 double plays. And those 3 double plays were enough to keep the Angels at bay and give the Royals an opportunity to win the game.
So 3 double plays last night. And another department the Royals wanted to improve upon this year was more power, and they have 3 home runs in the first 2 games.
Well, I think Ned Yost and Kevin Seitz have got to be pretty excited about that, especially since the home runs are coming from guys that they expect to hit them. Jeff Francoeur, Keel Kahui, and surprising Michael Venus.
We've had good starting pitching for the most part in the first 2 games, and we can expect the same today. Irvin Santana, a 17-game winner for the Angels last year against Kyle Davies, and some of his best work in his big league career have come in his first start. We'll talk more about pitching when we come back.
day. We've been here for 3 days.
I know.
It's been 4 months plus. Missed you.
Yeah, yesterday it was Donnie Miller. Who's Donnie Miller?
Correct.
Hi, Doc. How much weight you think you're going to lose this year?
You got your copy, right?
Yep. Good to go. Okay. Wow. Wow. What do you got to do? You got to walk off win, and you think they'd be lining up?
Yeah, the pitch count machine is above the hall, right up on the face of the Hall of Fame and on the party deck.
Royals baseball comes to you in high definition today, brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. Ryan Lefevre with Frank White, and out in right field is Joel Goldberg.
All right, Ryan, thank you very much. Yes, oh, hi, Donnie. What's going on?
You?
See, I missed Donnie so much.
3 days.
3 days in a row. I'm back out here with Donnie. Lots of love out here in right field, and that was the case last night as well. Keila Kaihue hitting the walk-off home run, and his parents were here, and his sister and her fiance, and guess where they were hanging out when the home run was hit? Right here in right field. What a thrill. Mike Avila supposedly predicted the home run, guys, which he said is really not that big a deal if it's a slugger at the plate. He said it's not like calling a home run for Mitch Meyer. Ooh, the barbs are flying when the guys are having fun, guys. And it's good to be back with Donnie.
And when you do something dramatic like that, you earn a new nickname. So we see the Hawaiian Punch sign out where the home run landed, or near where the home run landed. Kyle Davies' first pitch of the season is a strike to Mycir Izturis. So Kyle takes the mound as a new father, and baby Connor was due today. That was the expected due date, but he arrived on March the 23rd. And Connor and wife Katie are doing well back in Atlanta. Kyle tried to get there back on March the 23rd, but by the time he found out that Katie was in labor, he had to wait till the next morning, and then only had to fly from Phoenix to Atlanta. So a long trip, and he lost 3 hours along the way and just missed the birth by a couple of hours. Alex looks up into the right sky and brings down the fly ball from Mycir Izturis. Here's the Angels lineup. It'll be Mycir Izturis back to the leadoff spot. That's where he was on opening day. Howie Kendrick will be at first base. Torrey Hunter will be the designated hitter. So Bobby Abreu is in right field, and Alberto Callaspo is back at third. Bobby Wilson behind the plate, and that'll be his first action this season. Howie Kendrick 2 out of 8 in the first 2 games, a double on opening day, and then he homered in the first inning last night against Jeff Francis, and that would be the only run the Angels would score. No balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Kyle's off to a good start today. The fastball is really moving in on the righties, and still got that cutter. That cutter's been a pitch he picked up last year. Has been a good pitch for him.
Now, if you're like me and you're watching Kyle Davies, it may appear that he has dropped his arm angle a bit, but actually what he has done is he is more in a leaning forward position, leaning forward at the waist, as opposed to leaning back. And Bob McClure really working hard with him at the end of last year, trying to get him in more of an athletic position out on the balls of his feet as opposed to pitching from his heels.
Well, and I think that's one of the big things that they talk about, not only Bob McClure, but Bill Fisher. When pitchers do pitch off the hill, they call them hill bangers. And then as they're going through their warm-ups, they always say heel, almost like you got your dog who want to walk beside you. But that word gets used a lot in spring training, getting those guys back online.
And the thinking is that a pitcher has less control when he's a heel banger and is putting more stress on his arm.
Definitely. You throw uphill a lot, too.
It's one of the first things that Bob McClure suggested to Gil Mesh after he signed with the Royals. So Kendrick at first with one out, and Bobby Abreu, who is glad to see anyone on the mound outside of Jeff Francis. Abreu was all mixed up against Francis last night, and that's nothing new for him. 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, and now in his career against Francis, 0 for 12 with 8 strikeouts.
So that's one of those guys, Ryan, that's not overpowering. You're trying to be on everything, and you really can't. You got to really look for a pitch, sit on it, and get that pitch and hit it. But when you're trying to hit everything he throws up there, that's when you wave at balls, and that's when those at-bats start to mount with no hits.
Kendrick at first will run. He stole 14 last year. And Kyle Davies is mindful of that. Kyle faced the Angels twice last season, and they knocked him around for 7 earned runs in less than 12 innings. He is 1-1 in his career against the Angels in 4 starts. And there's Kendrick running. Runs it down in the hole. So Abreu is out, and Kendrick moves up to second base. Royals in their powder blue under a mostly blue sky, 62 degrees. Might get up into the 70s today. And we started right on time at 12:10. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. So 2 down, and Torrey Hunter, he chases the first pitch, gets a nice big hop, and Kyle Davies has a scoreless top of the first inning. It's got to be. Get closer to 20. The Angels defense has Vernon Wells, Peter Borges, and Bobby Abreu in the outfield. Alberto Callaspo, Eric Ibar, Myceres Turris, and Howie Kendrick on the dirt. And Bobby Wilson will call the game for Santana. Escobar 1 out of 7 in the first 2 games. If you want to look down the road, this could be a possible for the Royals. If Escobar becomes more patient at the plate, the Royals expect him to do that. He can run. Now, he had only, I say, 10 stolen bases for the Brewers last year. Not really in a running spot down in the bottom of the order in the National League, but he has a 46 stolen base season on his resume, and that was just 2 years ago. Callaspo with the bare hand throws wide. Kendrick saves a wild throw, but Alcides Escobar will be safe.
This play right here, Ryan, when this ball's bouncing hard enough, Alberto could have came in and fielded this with his glove, but the only thing about going barehanded is that you got to have a good grip on the ball, and on that throw there, McKinney did a great job just keeping this throw from going down the right field line.
It has scored a base hit, and looking at the replay, an on-target throw, and Escobar would have been out by at least 2 steps.
That's what happened a lot of times. The third baseman will be back so deep, and the ball's got good speed and good bounce to it. So rather than coming in and fielding with the glove and making a play, then a lot of them want to do that bare hand, because if you make the play, it's a great play. If you don't make it, it's a base hit, which actually hurts the pitcher in the long run.
So Melky Cabrera at the plate. 3 hits on opening day. He was hitless last night. And Santana paying close attention to Escobar, thinking the Royals might get the running game going right away.
Yeah, when you look at the American League, you don't have a lot of teams in the American League that like to run. So a lot of pitchers go through the whole season and don't have to worry too much about maybe one guy. But when you have a whole team that runs, now their mindset changes too, probably for the first time in a few years. So this may be, over the long course of the season, an advantage to the Royals.
Well, and already the Royals have accomplished something in that they have Santana's attention divided. And he's fallen behind Cabrera, 2 balls and no strikes. Now 2-1.
Well, it looks like he's trying to keep the ball away, according to Fox Tracks, Ryan. But, you know, when you swing 2-0, you really would like to hit the ball the other way. You know, you really don't want to hit a ball slice over the other team's dugout on 2-0. You really got to be ready to get the bat hit out on that fastball.
And Santana throws over there again. 10 steals and thrown out 4 times last year with the Brewers. And he is running, and Cabrera fouls it away. Was that cleaning the dirt off of his spikes using his helmet?
Yep. That's a first right there. Normally, I see guys jump up and bang the heels together to get it off, but never using the helmet.
And again, fouled off to the left side. Royals saw Santana 3 times a year ago. Santana won 2 of them. And after they faced him for the first time, the Royals said that was the best slider that they had seen all year. Escobar running again, and Bobby Abreu backs up in right field. So Melky Cabrera is out, and Escobar is back to first base. So that's a big pitch for Urban Santana, and especially against the right-hand batters. And you would think that he might make use of that slider earlier in the game because it is a very bright day and it's harder for the hitters to pick up the spin.
Well, that's true, Ryan. Especially you get 2 strikes on those left-handed hitters and you throw that slider to the back leg, and when you throw down underneath the lefty swing, they have a tendency to try to swing at that pitch. So I can see him using that pitch with 2 strikes today at some point.
And Alex has a good swing. A tough day for Alex on opening day, 0 for 5, and then used that, I'm sure, for inspiration last night and picked up 2 hits, including a double. And there's Santana's slider. He didn't get the call. 1 ball, 1 strike. One thing we have seen from Santana over the years, and we haven't seen him as much as teams in the West, but I remember a guy a couple of years ago who just had really bad body language, and when things didn't go his way, I mean, he wore it all over his uniform.
Well, I agree with that, and that's a good sign for hitters. That's when hitters get a little bit hungrier, and they know they got you on the run, they got you flustered, and in their minds you have nowhere to go, and it takes away from the energy level, it takes away from you the speed of your fastball, and you start to overdo things, and I think that's what gets guys like that out of the game a lot sooner than they should be out of the game.
Rolled to Asturis, over to Ibar for 1, and to Kendrick for a double play. No score at the end of 1. Love, and a great play that he made in left field last night to save a run. Otherwise, we might not have seen the bottom of the 9th inning. Good fastball up, and Kyle's ahead, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's got a lot of movement on his fastball. That's 2 fastballs by Vernon Wells that he's been late on. That ball's been by him before he gets through this swing.
Well, the big thing for Kyle Davies it's the same today as it was when he joined the Royals back in 2007. Command of his fastball and pitching ahead in the count as opposed to behind in the count. That applies just about every pitcher. Shallow left field on a very bright day, and an easier play for Gordon coming up from left field. Vernon Wells is out, number 1. Well, we've been taking video questions from fans here at Kauffman Stadium, and here's today's question.
Brian Gant from Blue Springs, Missouri. I have a question for the announcers. How many home runs do you think Kila Kaiahui is going to hit this year?
Frank?
Well, at bats are always the key. 500 at bats. I think the way he's swinging the bat right now, Ryan, I don't think 20 is out of the ordinary for him at this point. I'd hate to go beyond that until he's proven it, but I think he's very capable at least doing that bunch.
Well, he's on pace for 81, which should be a record.
That's what I say. You throw out a number, and you always hope he goes beyond that number, because the further he goes beyond that number, the better the team's going to be.
Three balls and no strikes to Alberto Callaspo. Well, Kila's best year in the home run department was 3 years ago when he spent the season at AA Northwest Arkansas, AAA Omaha, and then finished up with the Royals. And that year he hit 38. He had 26 at AA. That led the league. Then he went to Omaha, hit 11, and then won with the Royals. And now a one-out walk to Alberto Callaspo.
Well, that's one of the big differences in the levels that you go up. And in High A, he had a great year, and then he comes to his first year in Double A, in Wichita. He had a tough year. And then the second year, he increased everything, and then going to Omaha, it just drops down to 11. The pitchers get a little smarter. They can change speeds. You don't get that automatic 2-0, 3-1 fastball, and the same here. So as he starts to hit more home runs, then I think the pitching patterns are going to change, and if he doesn't change with them, that'll determine how many hits also.
Fouled away by Eric Ibar, who moves back down to number 7 after leading off last night. 3 hits in the first 2 games. He has stolen a base. He has driven in a run. The Angels had an excellent year 2 years ago on offense, and they were among the not just the American League leaders, but the major league leaders in the most important statistics in Mike Scioscia's mind, like on base percentage, hitting with runners in scoring position. Kila to the bag, and now they have Callaspo hung up. Kila starts the double play, and he finishes the double play. So only 3 come to the plate for the Angels in the second. Keila Kaihue, and D for Jeff Francoeur. Standard text rate supplied. 1-1, Billy Butler against Irvin Santana. 5 career hits for Billy against Santana, and 3 have been home runs, including Billy's first major league home run back in '07. That was in Anaheim. And then some friction between the two in Anaheim last year when Santana plunked Billy twice. Two balls, 2 strikes. Billy wasn't very upset about the first one. I mean, I'm sure it hurt. But here's the second one, and then Billy figured that there was some sort of a pattern and gave Santana the death stare. Santana gets him here with a good fastball running up there at 95 miles an hour. And there's one away in the second. So we hope you'll send in your text. When you do, you'll get a bounce back text message, which will give you information on how you can enter for a chance to win a suite here at Kauffman Stadium for you and 11 guests. Oh, 0-1 on Keila, who was down no balls 1 strike last night against Michael Kahn, and then drove a fastball into right field for a game-winning home run. Keila is 2 out of 7 in the first 2 games. 2-1.
Well, he just seemed just so much more aggressive. I remember in the minor leagues he was a lot more patient on first pitch fastballs, but I think since he's come to the big leagues, he's just been more aggressive on his fastball and really made a good pass at each one that he's taken a swing at. And I think the one pitch that's really kind of got him when it kind of slowed it down a little bit. But just being able to center your pitch like he did in spring training, he stay there. He's going to have a great year.
Well, he takes a walk. So 1 on, 1 out. So he's done it with the bat. And in the top of the second inning, he started a nice double play with the glove.
Well, this is why Ned Yost likes his defense at first base. He does a great job of taking that ball to his left side, tagging the base, and making an excellent throw down to Escobar at shortstop.
Jeff Francoeur takes outside from Santana, and it was in about the final week of spring training when Ned Yost made it public information that it would not be a 50-50 split between Keila Kaihue and Billy Butler playing at first base. Some thought that might be the case, and whoever wasn't playing first base would be the designated hitter. But not so, as we all learned in the final week of spring training. Keila will be the regular first baseman. Billy will get some time there, but not much. Ibar with a nice play and a blind little backhand flip over to his tourist to get the force on Keila.
You don't see many plays any better than this. This ball is actually by Ibar, and he does a good job of having his body continue in the outfield and getting that throw back underneath. So you don't see many plays any better than this one, Ryan. Just the accuracy of the play. His tourist does a good job barehanding this ball, but outstanding play by Ibar.
So it's Francoeur at first with 2 down, and Wilson Betemit gets his first start of the season. Betemit was quite a story last year. He was hitting .267 in AAA. By no means was knocking the cover off the ball with the Omaha Royals, but the Royals had a need at the big league level, and little did they know that they were about to receive a career year from Betemit. Tomorrow's the final game of this series, and it's also the first Family Fun Day Sunday. There will be live entertainment, face painters, a balloon artist, and much more in the outfield experience before the game. 1:10 tomorrow, and that's Bruce Chen against Scott Kazmir. So anyway, Betemit comes up, and in the first 15 games, he only had 2 plate appearances. And then remember that game in Minnesota, you got to his first start, and you figured he might be a little rusty, but he was able to shake off the rust. He hit home runs from both sides of the plate and just kept on hitting. A career high 13 home runs and a career high 43 RBIs for him when the season was done.
Well, I know we ended up talking about throughout the year that maybe he come up at such an early age, and now he's at that 28, around that 28, 29 year mark. Maybe it's time that he was getting into his stride, and the way he swung the bat last year, it doesn't surprise me he's still with the Royals this year.
Francoeur took off on the pitch. Well, he was going to be a big deal in Atlanta. He figured someday he would be a number 3 type hitter, and then he bounced around from the Braves to the Dodgers to the Yankees to the White Sox, then with the Royals. At times weight has been an issue for him, but he has trimmed down beginning with spring training of last year. Out on a ground ball to third. Royals are scoreless in the second. Is brought to you by AT KCA, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. By Panera Bread. Taste the difference freshness can make with Panera Catering. Order online now at panera-kansas.com. And by Chevy. See your Kansas City area Chevy dealers. And we hope that Missouri residents won't be too proud to go to panera-kansas.com. Still going to get the same great food. You and I both live in Missouri.
I love it.
Yep. Now, it's not in my blood as it is in yours because you grew up here. But I found it quite interesting my first year in Kansas City, and we're talking 12 years ago now, where there were people that would live right up to the edge of State Line Road but would never buy a house on the other side of the street.
I know as kids we never went to Kansas unless it was for a party, and then we get back across the bridge real quick.
I can say I've lived on both sides of the state line. First 2 years in Overland Park. Off the end of the bat, and that'll drop into right center field. So Bobby Wilson, who gets his first start in Game 3, gets a base hit in his first at bat.
Didn't hit this ball hard. It was on the end of the bat. This is a cutter right on the outside part of the plate, and you can see there just right on the end of the bat. Just kept it in a good part of the ballpark. I think Kyle would probably be happy with where he put that pitch. He put it right on the glove, and Bobby did a good job getting the bat on it.
Good late movement on that pitch, and a strike to Peter Borges, who has a chance to be a leadoff man for the Angels down the road, maybe even this year with his speed. Batted just .204 after being called up in August last year. We have two of the fastest, youngest players in the American League here at Kauffman Stadium with Peter Borges and the Royals' Gerard Dyson. In the dirt, 2 balls and 1 strike. You hear pitchers talking about they want to keep the ball down, and that applies to just about everybody. But then there are guys like Borges and Dyson, you want to pitch them up because they put the ball on the ground and they're going to be a handful. I mean, there is no, or it is a very rare occasion when these guys hit what would be called a routine ground ball.
But when you have that kind of speed, it changes everything. It makes everybody on the defense rush, and it starts with you getting out of position a little bit more. You're not as comfortable as you want to be, and you hit that ball in between where you got to go left and right 2 or 3 steps. That might be the difference with those guys.
Three balls, 1 strike.
You picked Kyle last night. You think he's the guy that you feel is going to have that breakout year this year, and he did some things in spring training that really impressed me. When he got in hitting counts, he was able to throw the changeup for strikes, and that's kind of how Jared Weaver pitches. And if he can continue to do that, then it's just going to make him that more effective.
Even a well-struck bunt right to the front of the mound is a close play at first. And Borges gets a sacrifice, even though he was hoping for more than that. He does get Wilson to second base.
Well, you're right, Ryan. That's really a bunt for a base hit right there. So they always credit the batter with a sacrifice, but if you know the different types of maneuvers for each play, then they tell you whether the guy's trying to get a base hit or a sac bunt.
So runner at second, 1 out, and now Myceris Turris. You know what might be one thing that would help situational hitting? You know, if you lay down a bunt like that, you're out, but you're not charging at bat. If you hit a fly ball and the runner scores from third, it's a sacrifice fly. It's an out, but you're not charged with an at bat. If you swing and hit a ground ball to the right side, or you get a runner home with a ground ball, as his Turris grounds out to Chris Getz. Let's say you have a runner at third, 1 out, and you hit a ground ball and you get an RBI, it's not a sacrifice. But if you bunt or you hit a fly ball as opposed to a ground ball, it is a sacrifice.
Well, I agree. I mean, you got a guy on second, like you said. You want to give him a third. You maneuver your bat to hit a ground ball to second, a ground ball to first. You get nothing for it, but it ain't be. I agree.
I mean, you get a sacrifice, you know, just bunting a guy from second to third. I mean, you don't even get him home. But if you swing, you make contact, swing in the bat, put the ball in play, get a runner home. If it's a ground ball, you're charged with an at bat. If it's a fly ball, you're not charged with an at bat.
Well, I think too, the man on second base or man on first base is sacrifice to me as you get in a position to bunt the ball out in front of the plate. But when you are bunting for a base hit and it's obvious you're bunting for a base hit and you still get credit for a sacrifice, then you got the best of both worlds right there.
1 ball, 1 strike on Kendrick. Head to FoxSportsKansasCity.com for each night's post-game press conference with Ned Yost and player interviews. I think I'm supposed to be talking about a jersey, though, however. That's April the 16th. The first 20,000 fans attending the Royals-Mariners game will get this road gray replica jersey. But we hope you'll go listen to Ned Yost's post-game press conference at FoxSports.com. All of that, and Kyle Davies has a scoreless third. Lifelong Royals fan and a computer whiz, joined today by his family. He has faced major health challenges. We hope he enjoys the game today. Just completed rounds of chemotherapy for a rare cancer. He has also endured open heart surgery. He returns for another surgery in just a few days, and yet he says he will be following the Royals throughout his recovery, and Buck would be proud to have him sitting in his seat today. One and one on Matt Trainer, who was 1 for 3 with a walk on opening day. Brian Pena got the start last night with Jeff Francis on the mound. Abreu into the right field corner, and Matt Trainer is the first out. Abreu in right today. Torrey Hunter is the designated hitter. Slugger has some friends today with Futures Day coming after this game. The Northwest Arkansas Naturals mascot on the right, and the Omaha Storm Chasers mascot on the left.
That's a mouthful.
Figure the Storm Chasers mascot would be some guy with a van and 11 antennas on the top. Hey, look, there's a tornado. Let's go drive and see how close we can get to it.
Yeah, those people are amazing people.
While everyone else is going to a basement if they have one, the Storm Chasers are trying to get right up next to the tornado so that we can see video of a tornado for the 1,824th time. There's Borges' speed, and that's why the Angels believe he is the best defensive center fielder in the American League. I mean, that was not a play in left center field, Frank. That was a play in left field.
This is all speed right here, and only speed can make this play. He just took a short angle, came right across the field, and made a nice diving catch. You see the ball is definitely slicing away from it too, Ryan.
And now fouled away by Alcides Escobar. I asked the question. I mean, I knew Borges was fast and that he was a good defensive center fielder, but I wondered, just to ease the transition for him going from the minor leagues to the big leagues, do you put him in his natural position? And you know, it's a difficult transition, as we talked about. If you've been playing center field your whole career, you move to a corner, you're seeing things you've never seen before. Plus, he's dealing with 3-level stadiums for the first time, and a lot of guys have depth perception problems, but that was not the reason. The Angels felt that he is the best in the American League, or has the potential to be the best defensive center fielder in the American League. So it was a move based on ability, not based on a smooth transition, and that's saying a lot when you move Torrey Hunter out of center. 3 fly balls, 2 handled by Bobby Abreu, and the Royals are down quickly in the 3rd. So good pitching has dominated this series so far. A 4-2 game on Thursday and a 2-1 game last night. Bobby Abreu, Torrey Hunter, and Vernon Wells coming up against Kyle Davies. And if you were with us at the beginning of the broadcast, we reminded you that these three combined have a 469 career average against Kyle Davies. Now that was before the game. Today they are combined 0 for 3. Abreu rolled out to second base back in the first inning. You know, this is one of those guys that might surprise some voters when he's eligible for the Hall of Fame. I mean, your first reaction might be, not Hall of Fame player, but last year he had at least 20 home runs, at least 20 stolen bases, at least 40 doubles. It was the 5th time he had done that in his career, and he is the only major leaguer who can claim that. Last year put an end to 7 straight seasons with at least 100 RBIs. He has 12 consecutive seasons where he has stolen at least 20 bases. His bat has been quiet so far in this series. Another ground ball to second base, and he's just 1 for 10. So 1 away, and let's check in again with Joel Goldberg.
Well, Ryan Frank was mentioning at the top of the broadcast about the success of Kyle Davies in each of his first starts in the big leagues, and it's amazing when you look back and go through it. Coming into today, going back to 2005 when he came up during the season for the first time ever for the Braves, 34 2/3 innings. He's only given up 27 hits in each of those first major league starts of a season, and in those 6 years for the Braves and the Royals, he's 2-0. His teams, the Braves and Royals, are 6-0 so far. Off to a good start today, guys.
All right, thanks, Joel. Although this was a bit disconcerting. Matt Trainer going out to talk to Kyle Davies and then peeking into the Royals dugout a couple of times and had a long discussion with Kyle. So there's Nick Kenny in the golf shirt. Kyle Turner drinking out of the Gatorade cup. That's the Royals training staff, and they are on the steps. Torrey Hunter grounded out to second base his first time.
Yeah, pitchers are the one area of the game where everybody's watching all the time, and if you do something just a little bit out of the norm, your catcher picks it up, and your trainers pick it up, your pitching coach picks it up. So it's kind of hard to get away with anything that you don't normally do on the mound, because that's the most watched area on the field.
There's also the possibility, since Matt Trainer doesn't have a lot of experience catching Kyle Davies, that maybe he saw something that would indicate Kyle was uncomfortable, but maybe that's something that Kyle Davies does all the time.
And I sort of went behind the mound and just sort of squatted down and started rolling his right ankle a little bit, so it took a little longer than normal, and that's when Trainer went out.
Blasted to deep left field, and Torrey Hunter has hit his second home run of the series, and he hits it above the water spectacular.
The one thing about Torrey Hunter, when he gets it, this ball's supposed to be an inside. It got too much of the plate. It was down a little bit, and it turned out to be more of a golf swing for him on that. You can see where the ball just stayed straight right into his wheelhouse, and he knew right away he got all of that one.
That makes 6 home runs in this series, 3 for each team, but every home run has been a solo home run. And Torrey has hit 2 long home runs.
And pitchers can live with that. I mean, you solo home runs, you'll be in the ball game. But just take a look at where Trainer was sitting and see how the ball ran right into his bat right there, and he was just sitting there waiting on it. Cleared his hips, got the bat head out front, and just got all of that one.
28 career home runs now for Torrey Hunter against the Royals. 12 here at Kauffman Stadium. And the 28 home runs is the most for him against any American League team. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And getting back to 12 home runs here at Kauffman Stadium. That's the 3rd most in any ballpark, which really is the most, because the first 2 are the Metrodome and Angel Stadium. So his home ballparks, where he's going to get half of his at-bats every season. So outside of his home ballparks, he has hit the most home runs here in Kansas City. Vernon Wells pops it up to the left side. Escobar calls off Bettamy, and there are 2 down. Inc. Student Nights are back. Students can purchase a ticket for $7 with a valid high school or college ID. Plus, a new happy hour special includes a hot dog and beverage for just $7. This coming Wednesday is Inc. Local Music Showcase featuring the Sons of Great Dane before the Royals take on the White Sox at 1:10. Oh and 1 on Alberto Callaspo. Alberto walked with 1 out in the 2nd inning and then was erased on a double play that was started by Keila Kaihue. One ball, 2 strikes. A homecoming for Alberto, going back to the Angels and reunited with the man on deck, Eric Ibar. They were known as Dos Hermanos, 2 brothers, and they spent 4 years together in the Angels organization, coming up as a second baseman, Callaspo, and a shortstop, Ibar, and they were the best of friends. Now they're the Angels shortstop and part-time third baseman. 3-2.
Well, Callaspo really doesn't profile out as a third baseman, and I don't think the Angels have had a true third baseman since Troy Gloss was there. So they've really been able to make do at third base with Sean Figgins and now Alberto Callaspo.
Chris Getz has been busy today. Callaspo is out. The Angels get a run on the long home run to left field by Torrey Hunter. partner, checking on Kyle Davies, and the Royals were a bit concerned about him as he was pitching in the top of the 4th inning, but appears to be okay, and nobody is warming up in the Royals bullpen. And Kyle Davies has given up just 1 run, 3 hits in the first 4 innings. Irvin Santana has allowed no runs, 1 hit in 3 innings. So the top 3 in the Angels rotation in the first 3 games have given up 1 earned run in 16 1/3 innings so far. And it is a very good top 3 with Jared Weaver, Dan Herron, and Irvin Santana. They all pitched at least 220 innings last season. And Cabrera strikes out. And for Santana, that is strikeout number 2. Let's revisit today's Sprint You Call It question. Who do you think will lead the Royals in home runs this year? A. Alex Gordon, B. Billy Butler, C. Keila Kaihue, D. Jeff Francoeur. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, then a space. A, B, C, or D. 50% going with Keila. And 4th on the list is Alex Gordon, who digs in with 1 out. Alex grounded into a double play his first time up, and he grounds to the right side again, and his Turris throws him out. So 2 quick outs for Irvin Santana. Now he gets Billy Butler, and he struck Billy out in the 2nd inning. The Angels have been strong as a starting rotation for a long time. Their collective ERA has been in the top 5 in the American League for 7 straight seasons. And as we told you on opening day, that they finished 6th in the league overall, starters and relievers, but that was mostly because of the starters. It was not a good season for the Angels out of the bullpen. In on the hands, and Howie Kendrick is there. So Santana needs only 8 pitches to get through the Royals in the 4th. He's only given up 3 hits, and the Angels, who have the potential of having a very good offense this year, they haven't shown it yet in the first 3 games. But then again, how much offense do you need when you pitch the way the Angels have pitched, at least the starting pitchers?
Well, if they go 7 innings, Ryan, just like Dan Herron last night, and give themselves a chance to win, they'll win a few more games than they'll lose. But the Royals right now, starting pitching wise, are matching them pitch by pitch, inning by inning. So no team has really been in a position to really break a game wide open. But that goes back to the quality of pitching.
And to add to your point, look at what the Royals have done on offense in the first 2 games. Both games they have scored 2 runs on 7 hits. Now that wasn't enough on Thursday, but when you get a starting performance like Jeff Francis turned in last night, 2 runs, 7 hits is enough to win the ball game.
It should be, especially if the team's going to play defense behind you. I think that's always key. Is if you get pitching like that, you're not giving up a lot of runs. The other team's not scoring a lot of runs. That means your defense is performing well behind you.
Eric Ibar, Bobby Wilson, and Peter Borges here in the 5th inning. 7, 8, 9 hitters. And that one gets past Keela and up the line, and Ibar can really run. So that's an easy double for him. Francoeur does a good job of getting to it quickly and keeping Ibar off of third base. Last time Ibar batted, he had a ground ball similar to that resulted in a double play.
Keela turned it, getting off the base, trying to cover his area, and was able to reach back, tag the base, and get that double play. Here, he's playing in around the grass, the ball's down the line, gets by him, hits his ball well. And we're so used to seeing when Ibar hits that ball, we're so used to seeing him go to third base and not second base.
Outside to Bobby Wilson, who had a bloop single to right center in the 3rd inning. And here he will at least try to get Ibar over to third. Blocked by Trainer on a very difficult pitch. He blocked it, but it took him to his knees.
And you want to go
if you know what I'm talking about.
You don't want to go to. You normally want to put that glove right in that area to keep that ball right there. So you're not actually trying to catch the ball. You're just trying to knock it down. But he did get his body in front of it and keep it from going between his legs back to the backstop.
Up the right field line and foul. 2 balls, 1 strike.
This is a situation you're talking about when you obviously a hitter is sacrificing his at bat because he's not trying to use the whole field. He's trying to use that one part of the field that's going to advance that runner to third, but he doesn't get credit for a sacrifice in that situation.
If he bunts and gets a runner over, it's a sacrifice. But if he swings, let's say he takes an ugly swing with 2 strikes, doing everything he can just to get the runner over to third, or even better yet, it's 2 balls, 1 strike right now. I mean, he could drive the ball if he wanted to, but let's say he took an unselfish approach and took a little half swing to get the runner over. No sacrifice. No sacrifice. But he gets the job done. Just ain't right, Frank. It ain't right.
They say team player.
Fans, here's a chance for you to get on the field at Kauffman Stadium for batting practice with the Royals alumni. May the 14th, 10 former Royals will work with you. You'll get all the swings and fielding practice you want. So for that great baseball experience, call 816-504-4150. I'm going to give him a sacrifice. Infield in for the Royals with Peter Borges at the plate. And he was looking for a pitch up, trying to elevate something, but that was up and out of the strike zone. 0-1.
This might be one of the most abused situations in baseball right here. Run on third, less than 2 outs, and trying to get him home. It looks like it's a simple process, but we see over and over again hitters fail in this situation.
Up and in. So Kyle Davies, that's actually a good pitch on his part. I mean, if he chased the first one, throw it up there again.
Well, this had a lot more movement on it. You can see the first one's upper half of the strike zone, and that one was getting him off the plate. And now he's really got the outside open where he can go with a breaking ball to get him to reach a little bit, and he may get that ground ball to shortstop. And with Ibar at third, you kind of look for him to be going on contact in this situation.
Royals thought that the Angels might squeeze. Now will a team pitch out in back-to-back pitches? We'll see if Mike Scioscia has given third base coach Dino Ebel the squeeze sign. He gives the sign to the hitter and then walks over and gives the play, if there is one, to Ibar. Not running. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You see the effects of those 2 pitches up and in right there. Then he comes back to the outside, and you see that type of swing right there, that you know that he's still thinking about the inside part of the plate.
Three balls, 2 strikes. This game moves so fast at this level. It is so hard to multitask. So therefore, you can understand how difficult it would be for Borges to think about the ball and his lips at the same time.
We have to keep the ball off our lips in this game. You got a real good chance of success.
Got him. And you could tell that, as you said, Frank, Borges really didn't want a whole lot to do with Kyle Davies.
Well, he didn't get a strike to hit this at bat. Everything was off the plate outside, off the plate inside. But those 2 pitches inside, especially that number 2 pitch that went to him, that's the pitch that really set up this at bat right here.
So Kyle picked a great spot for his first strikeout. Ibar tried to get Kyle to balk, making a move towards home plate. Mysier is Turris at the plate. He is 0 for 2. Breaking ball in for strike 1.
What Cal did with Borges, he just showed you he can pitch inside and pitch effectively inside without hitting the batter. So if you don't pitch inside, then the hitter takes that outside part away from you. Then that ball's in play, and they may have a run on the board.
1-1. Last inning with 1 out. Kyle gave up a home run to left field to Torrey Hunter. And that's it. 1 run, 4 hits for the Angels. 1-2. There have been times where Mike Scioscia has used Mysier Turris as a middle of the order hitter. He's not a power guy, but he has had great numbers in his career batting with runners in scoring position. Today he is the Angels leadoff hitter. He's got him on the knee. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And there have been times when the Angels have been hurting in the number 5 position in the batting order. So just looking at the stats, Mike Scioscia says, well, hey, this guy has the numbers with runners in scoring position. Let's bat him 5th.
He's not looking for the long ball. He's looking for guys that can drive in and run.
Just got a piece to stay alive.
You know, Kyle's really done a good job here. The first fastball was almost behind him, and he had him hit the dirt. Then you come right back inside with a slider, and he swings over the top of it. So he's really showing us right now the effectiveness of pitching inside.
Still 2-2. As Turris drove in a run on Thursday. That was in the 6th inning against Luke Hochevar. In fact, it was the last hitter that Hochevar faced. At that point, the Angels had a 4-0 lead. 3-2. There's a tree somewhere that the Angels go to when they need another smallish type player who can switch hit and has speed. Mysier Turris, Eric Ibar, Sean Figgins, Reggie Willits. Struck him out. So a leadoff double and a runner at third, but the Angels are scoreless. And when we come back in the bottom of the 5th, last night's hero, Kila Kaihue, will lead off. And he is the subject of today's Toyota League leaders. If you go back to last year and this year, the most home runs of an American League rookie, Keela has 8. That's over the last 6 weeks. He hit 8 home runs for the Royals last year, and 6 of them were in the month of September. Then Mitch Moreland, then Danny Valencia, 2 guys who had impacts on first place teams. Moreland with the Rangers and Valencia with Minnesota. And then Keela, of course, with the game winner leading off the bottom of the 9th last night. He walked his first time today. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Royals have 2 base runners in the first 4 innings. Alcides Escobar had an infield single in the first inning, and then Keela's walk in the second, and now Santana has retired 8 in a row, make it 9. That's his 3rd strikeout. Here's today's AT trivia question. Are you ready, Frank? Who are the only 2 Royals with more than 2 walk-off home runs all time?
Wow.
Oh, and 1 on Jeff Francoeur.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say me, being one of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything, but I think it was me.
I'm just guessing. I know I can recall one, but played long.
I mean, now I know you played a long time, but I mean, you remember walk-off home runs, don't you? I mean, there's the Royals' first clean hit, if you will. Escobar's infield single could have gone either way. So Jeff Francoeur is 1 for 2.
Yeah, he's really going to help the Royals. If he can get his swing straightened out, if he can keep it where it is now, then he's really going to help the Royals from that right side. And you can look at this ball being down. He just stayed with it.
So let me get this straight. By the way, you are one of the correct answers. You had 2. Oh, more than 2. Now Bettamy through the right side. And Francoeur stumbles around second base, and the Royals have 2 on, 1 out. But either way, you remember, you're not one of the answers, but you did have 2. But you only remember 1?
I can only remember 1. I mean, I batted almost 8,000 times, so it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to remember all that.
Yeah, but a walk-off home run? I mean, come on, Frank. How many Gold Gloves did you win?
8.5, not 8.
Are you sure? I mean, you had 8,000, 8 billion chances. Are you sure you only won 8?
Yeah, but you have something to look at every day. It tells you about the defensive stuff. But offensively, I was always felt good when I did something with the bat.
All right, so you had 2.
Well, I wasn't far off. I was close. They could have sneaked 1 in there for me.
So the question is, 2 Royals who had more than 2. No swing, 1 ball, no strikes to Matt Trainer. First time the Royals have had more than 1 base runner in an inning against Santana today. I'm getting hints from producer Kevin Shank, and the first hint is that one of them is a Royals Hall of Famer. So the obvious would be begin with George. And that is correct. So that's one of them.
Rookie of the year.
Well, that narrows it down. I can think of Carlos Beltran's in 2004. That was one of the most memorable walk-off home runs in recent Royals memory. Three balls, 1 strike on Trainer. it Bob Hamlin? Was it Lou Piniella? Was it Angel Baroa? Bases loaded, 1 out. This inning began with a strikeout, and Santana overpowering Keela with a fastball, but now 2 singles and a walk, and they're loaded up for Chris Getz. And Chris Getz is still in search of his first hit of the year. Flied out to center field on a sliding play by Peter Borges, who ran into left field to make the play. And we showed you at the beginning of the broadcast today that Chris Getz was a .385 hitter against Santana before the game. This is what we were talking about earlier in the game. And when he was a younger pitcher, Irvin Santana would become very visibly frustrated in a situation like this. Pitching coach Mike Butcher out to have a chat with him. But a more experienced and a more mature Santana has been able to pull it together. 1 ball, 1 strike on Getz.
That's really not a bad thing to do from a pitching coach perspective. If you know that guy has that ability to get that way, then go out there and remind him of the situation. You tell him he's only a pitch away from being out of trouble. Just anything that on the positive side to keep him focused on what he has to do at the plate.
Off of Kendrick's glove, a run will score. And the game is tied at 1. So Chris Getz picks up his first hit, and he gets his first RBI.
Santana tried to come inside on him, Ryan. He really did a good job of hitting this line drive. And Howie Kendrick went up and got it off his glove, but just couldn't hold it. Big hit for Chris. First hit of the year, first RBI. Big run for the Royals.
So same situation now for Alcides Escobar. Bases loaded, 1 out. Santana jumps ahead with strike 1.
I often wonder when you go from playing second base and shortstop, third base, you're using one size glove, and all of a sudden you find yourself at first base using a different type of glove. I wonder how much that plays into it.
Out at second base, Escobar beats it out. So Betemit scores, and the Royals lead 2-1.
Take a look at this play here, Ryan. Watch Chris Getz going to second base very hard and force this throw over Timmy's head at first base, and Escobar's running hard down the line.
And this is the biggest inning the Royals have had in the first 3 games. And the Royals are running Escobar down to second base. And he takes second base in front of the throw.
The Royals are really keeping the pressure on Santana. That's one area he hasn't had to worry about too much in playing the Royals. His guys running, and the best time to run is in the midst of a lot of chaos, and they just keep the pressure on the Angels by stealing that base.
Hit hard and pulled foul off the tarp. Melky Cabrera has struck out and flied out against Santana today. So Irvin Santana picking up where Jared Weaver and Dan Herron left off, and had given up only 1 hit and 2 base runners in the first 4 innings. And now the Royals with 2 runs, 3 hits, 4 base runners in the bottom of the 5th. Got him with that slider down and in. So Wilson has to throw down to first to complete the strikeout. That completes the inning. The Royals get 2 to take the lead. To the 6th inning. We hope you'll join Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association in helping Japan's children in need. Visit unicef.org or text Japan to 864-233 to donate $10. Standard text messaging and transaction fees apply. For more information, visit MLB.com/Japan Relief. So Kyle Davies pitches with a 1-run lead. Howie Kendrick will lead off. 1 out of 2 with a first inning single. Kyle just misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Angels' run was back in the 4th inning with 1 out. Torrey Hunter homered to left. Two balls, 1 strike. For the most part, Kyle has been on target with his pitches today. He has walked 1 and he has struck out 2 and didn't strike out anyone until the 5th inning. So he has been a contact pitcher today. He is just missing to Howie Kendrick, and the count goes to 3-1.
You know, Fox Tracks kind of gives us a pretty good idea where he's right on the top of that line, and he's got to get it from the umpire at that point.
Bobby Abreu will follow, and then Torrey Hunter. On the ground, Aquila. He'll flip it to Davies. 1 away. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre along with Frank White and Joel Goldberg, with producer Kevin Shank, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton and Sam Abramson, and the rest of our Fox Sports Kansas City crew here at Kauffman Stadium on what has become a very pleasant and sunny afternoon after a chilly finish to the game on Thursday, a chilly finish to the game last night, although we all left with a warm sensation after Keela's home run to right, and it's supposed to get up into the 80s tomorrow. Two balls and no strikes on Bobby Abreu. Twice he has rolled over and grounded out to Chris Getz at second base. Line to center field, and it's going to drop in front of Melky Cabrera. Beginning on Tuesday, the Royals start a series with the Chicago White Sox, and it's also the first T-shirt Tuesday of the 2011 season. The first 10,000 fans will receive a T-shirt presented by Pepsi Max. You can collect all 7 this year. If you'd like more details, go to Royals.com/T-shirt Tuesday. We were talking about Bobby Abreu a couple of innings ago, and he is built more like a linebacker than he is a fleet-footed outfielder, but he stole 24 bases last year, and that was the 12th consecutive season where he's had at least 20. A strike on Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, just looking at him, you definitely wouldn't think he'd be that type of player, but his numbers will be in rare company when he's done, and I agree with you. When they go to vote on him, they got to take a second look.
He is leaning towards second base, which is a popular stance now for runners leading off of first, and as we've described, you can get away with that. Your knees can be turned towards second base so long as your shoulders aren't pointed towards second base as far as getting back to first.
Yeah, a couple of reasons too. They want to get that right foot open so your hips open, and a lot of guys when they cross over they have a tendency to stand up, and that slows them down. So by opening that toe and getting that weight on that right foot, now you can go forward and you can push back to first base in case of a pickoff.
Torrey Hunter hit his 28th career home run against the Royals in the 4th inning. He cleared the water spectacular in straightaway left field. Just a little high, I think.
That fastball really started on the outside, then it came back, and I think that's when you look at Torrey Hunter, you leave about over the plate, that's what happens. You know, straightaway center field, and then leave that one in the middle of the plate down, and he does that. So if you let him get his arms out, he's got a chance to hurt you all over the field.
Breaking ball stayed up, maybe too high for Hunter to do anything but foul it away. So the battle continues. Kyle at 94 pitches. And number 95 just missed the outside. So that's 2 of the last 3 pitches have just missed to Torrey Hunter.
That's when you say you got to have one of those. This ball's right at the bottom of the strike zone, and you can't ask him to throw that pitch any better than where you look at number 6 right there.
73% of his pitches today have been a fastball. That's something we talked about early on. That command of his fastball sets up everything else. 1 walk, and for the most part has been at least pitching even with the hitters today and hasn't fallen behind much. So he likes his fastball, and that's what he's going with almost 3/4 of the time. Now Abreu runs, and the pitch is outside. Well, Matt Trainer, the veteran catcher out there to talk to Kyle, maybe calm him down. There were 2 different occasions in that matchup with Torrey Hunter that he thought he had Hunter struck out. So really only a couple of long innings if you consider 20 pitches or more a long inning.
It just takes so much work to get that ball where you want it and get it in a spot where the hitter can't swing. So now it's really up to the umpire to really help you out. But if you show that you can hit that spot on a continual basis, then a lot of times the umpire will go right along with you. But right now, Kyle's having to throw actual strikes in order to get that call. You can tell he's got a lot of good stuff today. I mean, he's always had plus stuff, but when you watch this ball here, look at it go straight down. Nice changeup. And with that action on the changeup, that's an outstanding changeup.
Wells is flied out and popped up. And now he takes one under the chin. Well, this is nothing new for Kyle Davies, getting off to a good start in his first start. In his first 6 years of his big league career, his team has won his first start. 2 balls and 1 strike on Wells. He did not finish strong last year. Remember, in 08 and 09, Kyle Davies did some of his best work in the month of September, but last year lost 5 of his last 7. Drilled to left center field, and Alex is going to have to play it on a bounce. Abreu coming around third to score. The throw goes to third, and they nearly got Torrey Hunter. They do not get Hunter, and behind him, Vernon Wells moves up to second base. So that may or may not have been a good decision. If Hunter's out, it's a great decision. If he is not out, now you got another runner in scoring position.
Well, you're right. He gets a cutter right here on the end of the bat, Ryan. And I'll tell you, you got to keep that double play in order. And if you're going to try to throw a runner out, you got to make sure you can get him out. Otherwise, you didn't get the guy at third, and you've allowed the batted runner to take another 90 feet.
Now, Frank, let me ask you something about that play at third base, because maybe this applies, maybe it doesn't apply, but I know you have commented many times in the games that we've done together that do not allow, if you can, the runner to get in between you and the ball. And, you know, at first glance, that throw comes in a little late. It kind of short hops Wilson Bettamy, but if he's more aggressive and attacks that throw, is he able to catch it on the fly and tag out the runner?
Well, I'm really kind of surprised he's even where he's at. I mean, you got a runner coming from first base, so you got to be actually at the bag, and then you're going to get on the outside part of the bag, and then you got a clear vision with the throw. But when you go down in there, anytime you let the runner go between you and the ball, there's a chance to lose the ball, there's a chance for the ball to hit the runner, and everybody keeps moving. So I'm pretty sure that at the start of that play, him moving down in that area wasn't the right place to be.
So second and third, 1 out. The Royals will bring the infield in, but not all the way, with Torrey Hunter at third base and Alberto Callaspo at the plate. And that's lined to right field, so 1 run will score. Vernon Wells will be held with Francoeur's arm. And the Angels have turned the game around. They lead by 1. So Bob McClure makes the first visit. This visit means that Kyle Davies will come out, and he will come out down by 1. And the Royals make a Chevy call to the bullpen. Kanekoa Teixeira about ready to make his season debut. Of 1 run, 4 hits in the first 5 innings, and then the Angels with 2 runs, 3 hits, and they've turned a walk into a run in the 6th. So Davies departs. He leaves behind 2 runners for Kanekoa Teixeira, who had an excellent spring, 9 games out of the bullpen, and an ERA under 1.
And that's going to be a questionable walk in Kyle's mind. In his mind, he threw 2 pitches to Torrey Hunter that should have gotten him out of that at bat, and I think that was it's going to be a source of frustration for him.
Wells and Cayaspo have driven in the runs. And they're at the corners with Eric Ibar coming up. Ibar doubled in the 5th inning. He grounded into a double play in the 2nd. Fastball for a strike from Teixeira. He was playing according to the Rule 5 rules last year, taken by the Seattle Mariners in the Rule 5. Then they placed him through waivers. The Royals picked him up and inherited the Rule 5. Another chance for 2. Out at second. And the ball gets away from Keela, and a run scores to make it 4-2. And now Keela is going to go over and tag Ibar. They thought maybe he had made a move toward second base. The umpires say no, so Ibar drives in a run. We'll see if Ibar would have been out if Keela handled the throw.
That's one of those throws right there, Ryan, where you got to try to get a glove on that one. You know, even though it's down, you got to try to stop that ball.
So fielder's choice and an RBI. And Bobby Wilson to the plate. Escobar charges, and he'll go to first. That's the inning. So the Royals had just taken the lead, but the Angels take it right back.
A 4-2 lead. This is our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Julia Urton from Kansas City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run out of the park this inning, Julia will win $300. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Julia will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Well, the last time Urban Santana was on the mound, he was frustrated with himself. He gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning, and the Royals had a 2-1 lead. But now he has a 2-run lead as Alex breaks his bat in half, and Borges makes the play in center field, and Gordon is 0 for 3. That's just a bad bat. I mean, that wasn't off the end of the bat. That wasn't off the trademark. That's down around the barrel, isn't it?
It's really just hard to figure these maple bats out. Some hitters say they break from the inside out, and they're a lot harder wood than the ash, but for some reason they snap right in half, and they don't just split. It's amazing how far they travel and how easy they break. I mean, the sweet spot on those bats have to be so small.
Billy Butler is struck out, fouled out against Santana. And a bit of a rivalry developed between these two last year in July. Billy has 3 career home runs against Santana, and for whatever reason Santana plunked him twice in 1 game last year.
What they did early in his first at bat, he pitched up and in, and everything else from there has been down and away.
3 balls, 1 strike. That is a fair ball past Callasco. So this time Billy gets the best of Santana. And the Royals doubles machine from the last 2 years has his first double this year.
But he does a good job. He does a fastball running up and in the Billy, and he did a good job opening up and getting the fat hit of the bat on the ball and just inside the bag and all the way down in the corner for a double. Callasco didn't really have much of a chance on this ball, right? And there's Billy making that good turn, getting into second base. And, you know, the spring training, Ned didn't really make any bones about it. He wanted everybody to be better base runners, and that's the guys that can run, the guys that can't run, but mainly on the turning up, making those turns around the bases.
Keela hits it squarely, but right at his Turris. Billy goes to third, and Keela is 0 for 2. The 2 fan favorites are back this season. Friday, April the 15th, the Royals will take on the Mariners at 7:10. You can purchase hot dogs, small Pepsi products, and peanuts for just $1. So it's Buck Night, and it's also Fireworks Night, presented by Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Visit Royals.com/fan value. Butler at third base for Jeff Francoeur, who singled and scored last inning. Francoeur coming home on Chris Getz' single, and then Wilson Betemit on Alcides Escobar's force out. And the Royals had a 2-1 lead until the Angels got 3 in the 6th. I believe that was a foul ball.
Wow, how that ball missed him, I have no clue.
Now he ducked out of the way. That's the most important thing. Mike Scioscia came bolting out of the Angels dugout because he thought it was a foul ball. And as unfair as it seems, if a guy throws at your head intentionally or unintentionally and it hits the bat, it is a foul ball.
Wow, that is a scary moment there. Remember Larry Gurr threw a ball like that to Tim Foley with the Angels one day, but only the ball hit the bat, came back out in front of the plate, and Tim was so upset he charged him out.
And the ball was in play. That is a strikeout, and it is a run scored. So you can mix in a little poetic justice, and it's a 1-run game. It's only right that if a guy almost gets killed with a fastball over his head and doesn't get to take a base because it's a foul ball, that he should be able to reach with a strikeout and a wild pitch.
This is one of those pitches that you would expect your catcher to be able to block for you right here. But that fastball in the dirt, they say, is the hardest one to keep from going back there. You go from throwing a pitch up over a guy's head and then he buries the next one in the dirt.
So back to a one-run game, and Wilson Betemit, with Francoeur running, it's fouled away. Betemit singled and scored last inning, coming home on the Escobar force out. Two. Now it was a swing and a miss by Betemit, but he was not off balance at all. He almost swung as though that happened to be the pitch that he was sitting on. It just wasn't in the right location.
There's that slider coming down and in.
And that slider's in the dirt. This time Wilson handles it, and that's the inning. So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Santana, but the Royals pick up a run. How do they do it? How do they do it?
Someone sits there and he thinks of the right guy.
Like I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 0 calories.
Oh, that.
Man, get over yourself, Frank.
That was hard.
He was a pretty regular guy until he got his face on the side of a Pepsi Max can.
I know. I shouldn't do that. I play along sometimes.
Escobar is going to have to use his strong arm to throw out Peter Borges, and he does. 1 away in the 7th inning. First full inning for Kaneko Teixeira in relief of Kyle Davies last inning. Kyle got off to a good start, allowing 1 run, 4 hits in the first 5 innings, but gave up 3 in the 6th. And the big play in that inning was the walk to Torrey Hunter when the Royals felt like Kyle had struck him out on 2 separate occasions before the count went to 3-2, and then the walk. Turris has flied to left, grounded out to second, and struck out. Thinking about running and bunting at the same time. We saw Scott Posednik do that on several occasions with the Royals last year and the White Sox the year before that.
You know, with Matt Trainer, you can really tell a difference in those balls in the dirt. I mean, he just really just relaxes his body, and the ball just seems to hit him in the right spot and just does the right thing all the time.
Out of play. This week, NASCAR on Fox moves to Martinsville, where Denny Hamlin will try to defend his title and take home his 4th straight checkered flag on that track. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing begins tomorrow with the pre-race show at 11:30 in high definition on Fox. Floated over Escobar and out into left center field. Runner at first with 1 out. You know, Frank, talking about being able to get down there and block a baseball, I've heard it said before, and I think it's a strong argument that blocking a ball in the dirt with a runner on base is the equivalent of a caught stealing almost. I mean, both of them prevent a runner from moving up 90 feet. Now, there's no statistic, there's no positive statistic that a catcher can hang his hat on for blocking balls in the dirt, but essentially it has the same effect.
And they really don't keep track of them. I keep track of them during the course of a game, but it's something that they look at as business as usual. I mean, this is what you're supposed to be able to do, but you're right. Anything that can prevent a run from going 90 feet, a runner from going 90 feet, and a run from scoring should be placed more value on. It's just like a hole for a guy that comes in relief and don't let him run score, so the catcher can conceivably get a hole every game that he blocks a ball. For every ball that he blocked with a runner on third base.
Royals thought the Angels would hit and run with Howie Kendrick at the plate. Aaron Crow warms up behind Teixeira. Aaron made his big league debut on Thursday, and it was an impressive debut. An inning in the 3rd, he faced 4, retired all 4, and he struck out 3 of the 4. Now a bunt attempt, and Kendrick fouls it away. The Angels trying to at least get Turris in scoring position for Bobby Abreu. Abreu is 1 for 3 with a single. Got the call on the high strike, 1-2. Is Turris over at first. He moves well, being a middle infielder, but not a huge stolen base threat. He had 7 last year, and that number was reduced because he had 3 different stints on the disabled list. 2 balls, 2 strikes. No trouble with his legs. It was his right shoulder, his left forearm, and then his right shoulder again. But since the 2005 season, the Angels have had to put Myceres Turris on the disabled list 8 times. Still 2-2.
A lot of times when you're trying to set your team up and you have a guy like Turris who has a penchant for getting hurt during the season, it kind of affects how you set your team up coming out of spring training. You want to make sure you have a little more versatility if you want that player in your ball club. In your back of your mind, you feel like you're going to lose him at some point, and you just got to have another guy that can step in there, and that's why you see so many guys moving around.
It was strange to see the Angels 7th in the league last year in stolen bases. They're usually 1 or 2, right up there with the Rays, and they had a drop off in a lot of statistics from 19th to 2nd in runs, 21st to 23rd in batting average. Runner going, and his Turris will keep running as Kendrick singles to center field. So Kendrick does better than get his Turris to second base. He gets him to third, and Bobby Abreu coming up.
Well, normally when you have that hit and run, you don't want to hit it up the middle, because that's where the most middle infielders are converging. But Chris Getz wasn't covering on this play, so he held a position which allowed the ball to go in the center field. If he's covering on this ball, he runs right into it.
So Teixeira and Bobby Abreu. Outside ball 1. Just to finish the thought, I mean, we're going over all the problems that the Angels had on offense, and there really isn't one statistic that stands out. I mean, everything went down. So it was much more than the Kendrys Morales injury. Batting average down. They scored 200 fewer runs last year than the year before. On base percentage down. Batting with runners in scoring position went down. And I mean, they weren't just among the American League leaders. They were among the major league leaders.
I don't know who's having a tough day today. Fox Tracks is telling us a whole lot of good things today.
Sometimes that's just a result of missing the target, as the umpire's moving with the catcher.
That is true.
You'll miss it. You miss that badly, and the initial reaction is going to be that wasn't a strike, even though that ball appeared to go through the strike zone.
Right through. But you're looking at this year coming out of spring training, there are 1-2 teams in stolen bases, or the Royals than the Angels. So they still want to play that brand of baseball. It just matters just keeping everybody healthy and people getting on base and improving their on base percentage. Mike likes to hit and run and steal bases and play the more upbeat, aggressive style of baseball.
Well, now the Royals have created a mess. The walk loads the bases. Torrey Hunter is coming up for the Angels, and Aaron Crow is coming out of the bullpen in the Chevy call to the bullpen. Angels by 1, but they're threatening in the 7th. Loaded. one out. But Ned Yost doesn't hesitate to bring him into the situation based on what he did Thursday.
Well, he did a good job, Ryan, just keeping the ball on the outside corner. Knew exactly where he wanted to put it. Was overpowering in these three hitters that he faced. So if he comes out with that kind of confidence today, then you can expect good things from Aaron Crow. And, you know, Ned basically said the reason these young guys are here because they threw strikes. And not only did they throw strikes, but they also got to show some mental toughness on the mound. And I think those are all the key qualities of a young player coming in to the major leagues for the first time.
So they're loaded up for Torrey Hunter. 2 runs scored for Torrey today. He walked and scored in the 6th, and he homered at deep left field in the 4th inning. Aaron struck him out on Thursday, and a hard slider is in for strike 1. When the question comes up, what is most difficult for a pitcher going from the rotation to the bullpen? It's right here, coming into the middle of an inning. No balls, 2 strikes. Pitchers are so used to having a clean inning, nobody on base, pitching out of the windup. If a guy gets on, maybe 2 guys get on, there's still a chance to get out of it. You get some elbow room, but coming out of the bullpen, you're pitching out of the stretch, and there is no room for error here in a 1-run game in the 7th inning with the bases loaded.
Well, the one thing Aaron Crow's been able to do is stay on the outside corner with that slider, trying to get that ground ball.
Comes back with a fastball at 96 and blows it right by Torrey Hunter.
Now you sneak a fastball by Torrey Hunter in that area right there, you've really done something. But he sets it up with those 2 sliders on the outside corner.
So they're loaded up with 2 outs for Vernon Wells, who has driven in a run today. Fastball with great late movement. 1 strike, 96. And a pitch that started outside and then tailed over the outside corner.
Yeah, he works the outside corner. His last outing and this outing, the outside corner's been really his own because he's out there with the slider and the fastball.
Tried for the same pitch, a little more velocity, up to 97, and it's 1-1. It's Turris at third, Kendrick at second, Abreu at first. All of those runners are the responsibility of Teixeira. Aaron Crow trying to pick him up and bail him out. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's a nice tight slider right there, Ryan. That's 88 miles an hour. You can see Vernon Wells has a nice long swing at that pitch.
Up the middle, Escobar dives, force out at second base. So Aaron Crow gets the job done, and the Angels are scoreless in the 7th. Everybody was already standing up because of what Aaron Crow did in the top of the 7th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out, and here's the Miller Lite taste greatness moment.
Well, you saw a lot of Aaron Crow's fastball, 96 miles an hour on the outside corner. Did an outstanding job in getting Torrey Hunter to strike out here, and then coming back and getting Vernon Wells on a ground ball to end the inning.
So a 1-run game. Matt Trainer, Chris Getz, Alcides Escobar against Irvin Santana, who's trying to get through 7. Trainer walked in the 5th, flied out in the 3rd. Good breaking ball for a strike. The Angels had a 1-0 lead at the end of 4.5 innings. The Royals scored 2 in the 5th for a 1-run lead. The Angels answered with 3 in the 6th, and then the Royals got a run in the bottom of the 6th. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Santana still in very good shape as far as his pitch count goes. He is at 90. On the ground to Kendrick. He'll go to the bag himself, 1 away. Final game of this series is tomorrow at 1:10. Bruce Chen, who won 12 games for the Royals last year, will make his season debut against Scott Kazmir, who's hoping for a bounce back season. He lost 15. Royals Live with Joel begins at 12:30. Chris Getz 1 out of 2 with an RBI. 2 out of 3. And the tying run is on with 1 out. He was already a .385 hitter against Santana before the game, and now 2 more hits today.
Well, you know, wouldn't surprise me, Ryan, right here if he's running. He's one of the guys that Ned Yost wants to steal bases, and this is a great time to get it done.
And now the Angels bullpen begins to loosen up. Hisanori Takahashi. The Angels bullpen has been very shaky in the first 2 games. Escobar leads off today. Mike Avila's not in the starting lineup. So Bedamit at 3rd, Escobar leading off. And Escobar led off the bottom of the 1st with an infield single. Line to left field. Got around on a fastball. 2 on and 1 out.
One thing Escobar showed us in spring training that he can't hit the fastball, and here he takes the fastball up, out over the plate, and he pulls it in the left field for a base hit. That did show surprising power in spring training with 5 home runs, and that's something that he's still developing physically, so that might be part of his game as he goes along with his career.
This would appear to be Santana's last hitter, no matter what happens. If he gets out of the inning with a double play, he is up over 90 pitches, and that would be going into the 8th inning. Melky Cabrera, switch hitter at the plate. After him, left-hand hitting Alex Gordon. And remember, the Angels have the lefty Takahashi warming up. So Mike Scioscia is hoping that Santana can get through Cabrera without the Royals tying the score or taking the lead. And Melky drives it to center. Borges is back and makes a great catch. Escobar is going to have to touch up and get back to first base, and he will. So there's that center field play that the Angels go on and on about. And Peter Borges just saved 2 runs.
Well, he really did, and Melky really jumped all over this ball, Ryan. But that speed, you see that catch. You see Escobar, he was already around second base as he should be, so he can score it if that ball hits the ground. So, I mean, this is outstanding play right here. I mean, he had this ball all the way. He went a long way.
So it was a scary moment for the Angels, but Santana gets the ball to the Angels bullpen. Here as Melky Cabrera takes Peter Borges to the warning track in center field, so he hands the ball off to Hisanori Takahashi. The Royals saw him on Thursday, and Takahashi retired the first hitter that he faced, and then the Royals got 3 straight hits.
Well, they really jumped all over him. Frank Coeur with a home run in the left field bullpen, and here you see Escobar go with a pitch to right field, and here's Matt Trainer getting a base hit up the middle. So it wasn't a very good outing for Takahashi on Thursday.
It's been a shaky first 2 games for the Angels bullpen. Over the course of the first 2 games, 3 2/3 innings for the bullpen. They have walked 5 and given up 3 home runs. The Royals have left 8 runners on base over that span. So it could be a lot worse for the Angels bullpen. Control was an issue for them last year. The Angels had the most walks of any bullpen in the American League. Alex Gordon has grounded out twice, once into a double play, and a fly out to center, 0 for 3. After the first pitch, and he fouls it away. With 1 out, Chris Getz singled. Then Alcides Escobar singled. And right now the play of the game is the play made by Borges in deep center field. Melky Cabrera hit a bullet, and just about every other center fielder will not run that ball down, and the Royals would have scored 2. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Two and 1. Royals hoping for more power and more production from the middle of the batting order. On Thursday, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Gordon, Butler, and Keela, were 0 for 10 with 6 strikeouts. Last night, they were 5 for 12. And now today, 1 out of 7. So this is where the middle of the order hitters make their money. Late in the game, runners in scoring position. Alex not so sure about that call. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Takahashi got that one down a little bit and called for a ball, and he raises it up another 6 inches and got a strike on that. So right now Alex got to just be kind of a defensive guy right now and just try to make sure he puts this ball in play.
Getz did something to distract Takahashi. So he knew he had no play at second base. Nobody was there to cover, but just spinning and letting Chris Getz know that he's aware of him. And now Ibar moves in between Getz and the bag. Outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Look at all those pitches that are outside of the box. So Alex is doing a good job of watching those pitches away, but he got caught on one. That was a number 4 pitch.
The runners go, and Alex strikes out, and he knew it. So the bullpen finishes off the 7th inning. The Angels lead by 1. Around the American League, Chicago and Cleveland, they had a wild one yesterday. Carlos Quentin, 2 RBIs. That's 7 for him. How about that start? Toronto beat up on Minnesota yesterday. They're doing it again today. And here are the pitching matchups for the American League schedule later today and tonight.
Yeah, Carlos Quentin is one of those guys that if he stays healthy, he can put up big numbers, but he's so close to the plate, he gets hit a lot, and he's always injured at some point during the season.
2 balls, no strikes. Aaron Crow pitching to Alberto Callaspo. Aaron came on with the bases loaded, 1 out in the 7th inning. He struck out Torrey Hunter on 3 pitches and got Vernon Wells to ground out. And he got some help from Escobar at shortstop with a nice play. And now Callaspo drives it over Alex Gordon's head and up against the wall. Second hit for Callaspo today, and the 3rd time he's been on base.
Take a look at this fastball. Ryan starts to run away from him, and he just stays right with it. He just tracks it and hits it right down the line, and got by Alex. He took the direct line over to it, but the ball beat him to that point and got by him.
That route there is described by many as a banana route because the route is shaped like a banana. And Rusty Kuntz and others, but I know Rusty in particular, teaches that the first move should always be a drop step back first. That is off the wall. Eric Ibar just missed a home run to center field. They're going to wave home Callaspo, and Getz' throw is right on the money. Now a throw down to third base, and Ibar is safe. So there you go, Split, wherever you are. A play at the plate. And it's still just a 1-run game. Melky Cabrera doing a good job of getting the ball to Chris Getz. And Chris Getz to Matt Trainer for the out.
But Cabrera does a good job, Ryan, like you said, getting this ball on one hop and getting it back in. And Chris Getz makes a nice throw to Trainer at the plate, who does an outstanding job of blocking the plate right here. I mean, there's no way in the world Castro's going to get in there. And now if he's able to get up quick enough after this, he doesn't get knocked over. Now he does have a better play at third base. But he came up looking, made the best throw he could, but couldn't get eye-wire at third base.
Bobby Wilson almost hit by the first pitch. That's the second time in 3 days that Trainer has had to brace himself for a home plate collision. Wilson singled in the third, 1 out of 3. Infield in for the Royals, hoping for a ground ball on a play at the plate, and the ground ball is foul. So the Angels more prepared for Aaron Crow this time around. An impressive escape in the 7th inning and back-to-back doubles in this inning, and only a good relay preventing a run.
Well, he just elevated the fastball up in this inning, Ryan. Both balls were up out over the plate, and the hitter's been able to get their arms extended on him, and that's why the ball's been able to travel as much as that. It keeps the ball down, had more movement to it, and he was more effective on the outer half of the plate.
Tim Collins warms up in the bullpen. So the scoring on Ibar, a double, and going to third base on the throw home. And Aaron Crow gets the strikeout. Boy, that is a handy device to have. And when a pitcher needs a strikeout, he can go get it.
Well, he knows where to go, too. When you look at this pitch, Ryan, this ball is right on the outside corner. Looks like it's still a tight slider. It's off the plate, but it looks so good coming out of his hand. It has that late break to it that Bobby Wilson's already committed and can't hold up.
And a slider for a strike on Peter Borges. For 2 with a sacrifice bunt. You got to remember, Aaron Crow, I'm sure, has been starting games since Little League, and last year he made 29 appearances, his first professional season, all as starts, and looking amazingly comfortable pitching out of the bullpen. 2 balls and 1 strike, and staying calm with runners in scoring position. And as they say, you know, dealing with the urgent without becoming anxious. I have no idea what I just said, but I think you know where I'm coming from. I mean, there are guys who come in and they know this is a serious situation, but they let that get to them and they lose their control. And there's some guys, they understand what's going on. Doesn't mean there aren't any goosebumps or butterflies, but they're able to hold it together.
And that's the difference. That's where the mental toughness comes in.
Look at that pitch. That had Borges bending back to his own dugout, and the count fills out.
You know, these pitches are on the outer half of the plate and even off the plate a little bit, but it's got such deception to it that even a right-handed hitter can buck them on balls that are not even nowhere near them.
Borges walks, and so is Turris will come up with runners at the corners. While Borges goes down to first base, he's had a good game on offense. In fact, our defensive plays of the game brought to you by the Home Depot, doing more on defense.
Well, you get to see speed in this big ballpark, and he goes over to left center field to take a base hit away, and this could be the catch of the night for the Angels, going back to center field, preventing 2 runs from scoring, just making this over-the-shoulder catch and making it with ease.
To Chris Getz. So Crow gives up 2 doubles and no runs. Let's take a look at today's Chevrolet play of the game. It just happened in the top of the 8th.
Well, this is what they practice, and they do their cutoff and relays. Cabrera to get the trainer, block the plate, and you got your out.
The trainer had almost no time to catch it and apply the tag.
Oh, he just did a great job of just blocking that plate right there, Ryan, and catching that ball in the short hop. I mean, just an outstanding play. That's how it should be done. Mike Scioscia would be proud of that.
Now remember the Fox Hot Watch, and there was a play at the plate on opening day, and so after the suggestion of Paul Splittorff, he wanted a play at the plate yesterday on the Fox Hot Watch. It didn't happen. He wanted it again today so that he could take it, and we have a play at the plate. How about that, Joel?
Well, he's going to be a winner today. I was just sitting with Split, and I looked at him as soon as that play was over. I said, Split, you won. He said, I call that a redeemer. He was going to ride that one. That was going to be a Hot Watch suggestion. Who knows, for another week, 10 days. I mean, I was going to be talking about that with him on the pre- and post-game show every single day, so we're not going to have to beat a dead horse on that one.
Way to go, Split. You know, talking about Mike Scioscia being proud to watch that. It wasn't his catcher. He didn't like the final result. But growing up in Los Angeles like I did and following the Dodgers, I don't know if there was a catcher in his era or maybe in the history of the game that sacrificed his body more than Mike Scioscia did.
He was very good, Ryan. I mean, he was just the example of what catchers should do to prevent runners from scoring, and it was just a way that when he went down, I mean, runners just stopped. You know, they didn't go through him; they just stopped. I mean, he just set up so perfectly around home plate, and the runner had nowhere to go.
Kevin Jepsen takes over here in the bottom of the 8th inning after Irvin Santana went 6 2/3. Hisanori Takahashi got the final out of the 7th inning. Jepsen was one of the 6 pitchers that appeared on opening day, and he gave up a run in a third of an inning. He walked 2 and gave up a base hit. So trying to bounce back from that. He'll get Billy Butler, Kila Kaihue, and Jeff Francoeur. Line to center field. So a tying runner at first base with nobody out. Let's go back to Joel and get a preview of what's coming up on Boulevard Royals Live.
All right, Ryan, should be a fun time out at Rivals with much of the crowd sticking around for the Futures game. We'll break down Kyle Davies' first start of the year with Paul Splittorff and talk about a new fan favorite as Aaron Crow, another impressive outing out of the bullpen. That, and we will take a closer look and let Split gloat a little bit about the Hot Watch. Great defense today and much more coming up, including Ned Yost's comments on Boulevard Royals Live. Guys?
All right, thank you, Joel. Well, Aaron Crow should certainly help the Royals draw some more fans out of Columbia, as Tiger fans will be keeping a close eye on him. When he appeared on Thursday, he became the first former MU pitcher to appear in a game for the Royals. Kila today has walked, struck out, and grounded out. Left field, and Wells having some trouble with the sun, but able to shift his hips and turn away from the sun and make the catch for the out. Bruce Chen and Scott Kazmir tomorrow at 1:10. Royals Live with Joel begins at 12:30. The Royals have an off day Monday and then begin a 2-game series with the White Sox on Tuesday night. A strike to Jeff Francoeur. One out of 3 with a single and a run scored in the 5th inning. No balls, 2 strikes. In the game on Thursday, the Royals had base runners in the 8th inning. against the Angels bullpen. And in that game, Ned Yost elected to pinch run Mitch Meyer for Billy Butler. And then later Gerard Dyson for Keila Kaihue. But today, Billy stays in there at first base. He's the tying run. 1-2. Also in the game on Thursday, Jeff Francoeur got his first hit as a Royal.
Well, fastball in by Takahashi, and he put it in the left field bullpen. And pitch earlier, he had the same type of pitch, but he fouled it off. So that's what he talks about when I talk to him the next day. He says getting that pitch and not missing, and that's when you know your timing is right. When you square up the balls that you should square up.
Into center field. So the tying run is at second. The go-ahead run is at first. Francoeur has a two-hit game.
Well, he gets the first one and fouls it off, then he gets the second one and drives it back into center field for a base hit. So nice adjustment right there by Francoeur.
Wilson Betemit, like Francoeur, singled and scored back in the fifth inning. He is 1 for 3. 1 ball, no strikes. The middle, backhanded, flip to second, one, and a wild throw, and a perfect bounce to Kendrick. Man, there was good fortune all around the diamond on that play. First for the Angels on the near double play, then for the Royals on the overthrow, and then for the Angels at the ball ricocheted off the netting.
You said it all that happened on this play right here. This is a nice play. Now right here, I could have taken a little more time and made a better throw. But that's a play that probably should have turned right there. This is an outstanding play by Esteris. And here, right here, just get your feet set, make a nice throw, and you got it inning. But to the Ross, this goes to the Ross' favor right here, Ryan. But outstanding stop.
So a Billy running, no chance for him to score on that play. So the tying run is still at third base, and the go-ahead run is at first, and now 2 down. Matt Trainer has walked, he is grounded out, he is flied out. Two balls, no strikes. Two and one. Royals have had opportunities all over the place against the Angels bullpen in the first 3 games. Angels bullpen now has stranded 10 in the first 3 games. Slice to right field, and the Royals tie the game. That is Matt Trainer's first run driven in as a Royal.
They get a look at Matt Trainer not doing it all today, Ryan. Here he takes a throw from Chris Getz to block the plate, block fastball off the plate to save a run for the Royals. And he worked himself into a 2-0 count, and he fights off a fastball to right field for a tying run to score it. from third base.
And now Gerard Dyson does come into the game. He'll run for Bedemeet at second base. He represents the go-ahead run. Chris Getz picking up his first 2 hits of the season today and his first RBI. And now 2 RBIs. No chance to get Dyson. The Royals have taken a 5-4 lead in the 8th inning.
Today, Chris's third hit here. This is the biggest run of the day for the Royals with Jared Dyson on second base. There's no way he wasn't going to score this line drive by Getz to center field. This is that speed that Ryan talked about earlier. When you talk about Borges and Dyson, 2 of the fastest guys in the American League.
Ran out of his pants.
Belt buckle snapped on. He was going so fast.
Chopped to short. And they get the force at second base. The Royals get a 2-run bottom of the 8th inning. And they will take a 1-run lead to the 9th with Joaquin Soria coming in. Aaron Crow is in line to win his first major league game. Matt Traynor tying the game with a base hit to right field. And Chris Getz putting the Royals in front. Gerard Dyson was running for Wilson Bedemeet, so Mike Aviles takes over in the 9th inning at third. Soria got the win last night, pitching a scoreless 9th. And then Keila Kaihue with the game-winning home run in the bottom of the 9th. Escobar throws a strike over to Keila at first base, and Howie Kendrick is out number 1.
Last night, Soria came in last night, Ryan, and really just did an outstanding job. He got a ground ball at second base, and then he just coached 2 pop-ups that just ran the ball right in on the hands of the right-handed hitters. You know, Bernie Wells and Torrey Hunter right there, 2 pop-ups at third base. Very efficient performance for his first time out.
And on target to Bobby Abreu. So Kyle Davies is off the hook. He gave up 4 runs in 5 1/3. Tanekoa Teixeira with a scoreless inning. Aaron Crow, an inning and 2/3 scoreless. Popped up. Francoeur didn't see it right away. Took a peek at center field. Cabrera wasn't near, so he makes a catch, and there are 2 down. The Royals trying to beat the Angels in Kansas City in consecutive games, and dealing with the Angels here has been a heavy lift over the years. In the last 35 games between the two teams here, the Angels have won 27 of 35. And overall, either here or in Anaheim, the Angels have won 17 of the last 22.
That's pretty dominant right there. They had those great teams. They had everything going for them. Pitching, defense, offense. And, they were winning Western Division championships during that time.
Torrey Hunter 1 for 3 with a walk and a solo home run. Up the middle, Escobar to Keela. And the Royals come from behind with 2 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Aaron Crow picks up his first major league win. Joaquin Soria has his first save. Matt Traynor drives in his first run as a Royal. And you put all those things together, and the Royals take game 3, 5-4.